All right, gang, back from the depths of not being on the radio for the last couple of months, but he's here today. The man, the myth, the Norwegian legend, Mr. I'm stumbling with your name here, Lars Knobloch.
You're starstruck.
Yeah, I am. I'm so starstruck. Lars Knobloch, Nordic Home Inspection and Nordic Companies. How are you, brother?
I'm doing pretty good.
I love the way you talk. You are my favorite Norwegian I've ever met.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. Well, everybody around here is Norwegian, but you're actually from Norway. How'd you end up in the States? It's a lovely story.
Actually, I met a girl from here.
Okay.
That is how it goes. You got to do what the women tells you to do. If they say jump, you jump. If they say move, you move.
And what is Tracy saying now?
I don't know. You got to ask her about that.
Okay. Lars, you've been in the States now for how many years?
About 9.
Okay. And before you came to the United States, you were like a master dude over in Norway with all things like homes, right? What was your job back in Norway?
I was working in construction, remodeling, and building. There's a lot of old houses in Norway that we remodel. We work with insurance companies and remodeling from water damage and stuff like that.
Okay.
As well.
Okay. And now you find yourself in the United States, and you've been doing home inspections since you've basically been here, right?
Yeah.
So 9 years into home inspections. How many inspections do you think you've done over the course of 9 years? How many houses have you been in?
It is somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000, I think.
That's an obscene amount of houses. And you're in about 3 a day now, aren't you?
3 or 4.
Man. We're going to talk about winterization here in a moment. But what's the weirdest thing you've seen? Because you've seen some stuff, Lars, and your stories always make me feel so glad that I don't live in any of those houses.
You know, there's so many different things. I don't even know where to begin. I've seen people drying their meat in their attic. Just came over the other day, an adult diaper hanging in the attic. And what kind of ritual that was, I'm not really sure. But there's just an endless amount of things like that just
a dead mouse in a water softener.
Dead mouse in a water softener is one. We had, the fire department had to come out a couple of times at our inspections. One was a thermostat that was overheating and nearly burning down the house that was vacant at the time. The other was there was a beehive in the flue for the gas fireplace. So man, yeah, we see a lot of things, and no days are the same. That's for sure.
Oh man, one of my favorite things that happened, and I used to take pictures for these homes that were about to be foreclosed on. And so when I was getting started, I was hustling to find any side gig, and so they paid me like $50 to go and take these pictures. And I got attacked by a raccoon in a house, so that was something. Yeah, have you been attacked by any raccoons?
That's maybe the one thing I haven't
seen. Looks like I got one up on the big guy here.
I'll let you know. I'll catch up to you.
That's right. There were babies in the house, and so that's why the mom wasn't so happy. And I was wearing sandals that day. It was I've never ran so fast, except for when the ice cream truck was down the street. Lars, you are a master with home inspections. You are a master with houses, and right now it's about to be winter.
Yes.
What do people need to be doing to their house to make sure that winter doesn't cost as much and doesn't destroy their house?
At this time of the year and for the next couple of months, every year we see issues from people basically forgetting that winter is coming up. So maybe number one thing I recommend is to have the furnace service at this time, because it's going to be overworking here in a couple months, and it's going to shut down.
In fact, this last week, my wife says to me, she's like, Erik, it's like 50 degrees in here. And I'm like, yeah, I love it. But she's like, no, can we please turn the heat on? Please, 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 please. So we turned our heat on. And when's the last time we had our furnaces on, Lars? I mean, it was probably April, right?
Probably, yeah.
If that sits for 6 months, that collects a lot of dirt, doesn't it?
Yeah, it will definitely smell like burned dust or something, if it at all will start up, right?
Right. So you're saying to get your service furnished, get your furnace serviced now, right? Don't wait until it's December and everything is inefficient?
No, because in December or January, when your furnace will shut down, when it's 20 below out, there's likely another couple hundred people that are in the same position, and you're calling someone in and they don't have time for you. You're going to be number 50 in line, and you might have to pay a premium amount of money to get them out as soon as you want it. Other things at this time now, make sure all your gutters are cleaned out before it's freezing up.
Right. But the leaves haven't fallen yet.
No, but there's still leaves in gutters. I see gutters almost every day that are clogged even now, or
Okay.
should be cleaned. But it's still a little too early to, clean it now and think you're done, because you might have to clean your gutters several times from now on.
So
until it
a
freezes.
couple fall cleanings is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you come over and do that for me?
No,
Okay.
I don't know how to do it. Every year we also see people forgetting to winterize their sprinkler system.
Okay.
So
That
needs to be done by now.
That
or
is a
close to it.
thousands and thousands of dollar
It
expense
is.
if you fail to do it, right?
Yes.
So what happens to a sprinkler line if it doesn't get flushed out?
It freezes, and there's a backwater valve up there too that will get damaged, and it spirals apart as the water in the pipe will freeze, and you potentially have to redo the whole thing.
So it's a couple of problems, right? It's the pipe that's holding the water. It will expand and contract, and it's not used to having frozen water in there. And when things freeze, they expand, right? And so those pipes under the ground could freeze, thus having you to dig up your entire yard. But then that frozen water makes it all the way back inside your house, doesn't it?
It can, and that often happens as well with your house spigot on the outside. People forget to take their garden hose off, and we see that every week at this time of the year.
The second you just said that, I thought, oh, my hoses are attached
Yeah.
outside my house right now. I need to go and detach that.
Yep. You
Because
gotta get that off. Also, turn the water off to your spigot. A lot of spigots are still non-frost free, so they will freeze up into your house. We see that every fall as well.
Okay. So absolutely take care of the outside stuff. So we've covered furnace, we've covered sprinkler system, we've covered gutters, we've covered hoses that attach to our spigots. What else do we need to be doing to winterize?
I would go over all your doors and windows. Turn the light off and see if you have light coming in anywhere. If you're heating your garage and you see light coming in through your doors, you might want to call your garage door company and come have them tighten it up, and it will save you money to do that. Make sure your windows are actually locked, because they seal tighter when they're locked as compared to when they're not locked.
Lars, do I need to plastic my windows?
Depends on what windows you have. Definitely do. If you have single pane windows, living on an older house, and they're pretty drafty, you're probably going to save money on putting plastic over them.
Let's talk the age of a house. When did double pane windows really start getting installed?
I would say 70s, maybe late 60s.
So there's a ton of houses in town that are built before 1970, right? Would we are we safe to assume that if they haven't ever updated and replaced their windows, that those are single pane?
That is definitely a good possibility.
Okay. And those single pane windows, I used to live in a house that was built in 1941, and my wife always wanted to be warm, and I always wanted to be cool. So I would always just sit by the window in the winter, right? Because a nice little cool breeze was coming through, and wouldn't you know, our utility bills were pretty high.
Yeah. Yep, there's a lot of air going out through there. The same with, if you live in an older house like that, you might have a wood-burning fireplace, and that thing is just sucking the air out of your house. So if you don't use it, insulate the whole thing off so you won't have air being just sucked out through your chimney.
It's also a great way for birds to find their way into your house.
It is.
Fell victim to that as well.
I've heard rumors about that.
Hey, don't stop it, Lars. Final thing is, if people are living in newer homes, the problem is the exact opposite of a drafty window. Sometimes we see in the winter our windows sweat.
Yeah.
Like they have so much moisture on there, and then ice will build up on the frame at times. Why in the world are our windows so sweaty?
Most people think their windows are actually broken, or there's something wrong with them, or sometimes it could be that they're leaking a little bit of air that's causing it to condense on there. But most commonly, it is lack of ventilation.
Okay.
Every day there's about 15 gallons of water that's entering any given house from the basement floor, just like dampness. That's why our basements are damp, and we have dehumidifiers in our basement.
Okay.
And now that the homes are built so energy efficient and wrapped so tight, that moisture gets trapped in your house. And when it is 20 below outside, if your humidity is 40%, that's way too high. It's going to condense on the window because the colder it is outside, the colder the window is, right? So you have to take measures to reduce the humidity. And usually in these newer homes, a dehumidifier or two is not usually enough.
That's crazy. I mean, we should essentially, my wife and I knew this, and so we installed it when we put in a new furnace, but you should have like an air system that flows, right?
Yeah, you want to have like a mechanical ventilation system. There's been a code in Minnesota actually to have some sort of ventilation in newer homes since I think 2002.
Okay.
But North Dakota and Fargo are still lacking, and they need to step it up because there's so many homeowners out there that are struggling with condensation and mold from lack of ventilation. When the city is making the builders build so airtight and energy efficient, they also need to make the builders put the air exchangers in to help people control their humidity.
I think of it like I go back to high school. I was never a wrestler, but I would watch these wrestlers who had to cut weight, and so they would wear garbage bags when they went to run. And what they're saying is, I'm trapping in all this stuff, and when that traps in, then you just sweat so much.
Right.
And that's what's happening with these houses, right?
Yeah.
They're plasticed up, and they're so energy efficient now. They're not single pane windows; they're like triple pane windows, and so no air can escape, and that actually leads to damage to your house.
Yeah.
So by all means, look at the air exchanger system. Lars, I think you're a mad genius with what you do. When it comes to homes, you're the one that I have had the best experience with home inspections. And so thank you for taking great care of our clients in this community. What's your website if people want to learn more about you?
It is NordicCompaniesInc.com.
NordicCompaniesInc.com. Lars Knobloch with Nordic Home Inspection and Nordic Companies. Gang, we're going to head to break. Stick around. And in the meantime, go to livefargomoorhead.com. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch.